The Mammoth Site. Now, my name is Riley, and in about 10 minutes, I'm going to be your tour guide.
Welcome to the Mammoth Site. The animals whose bones are preserved here lived about 26,000 years ago, during the last ice age, in a time known as the Pleistocene. However, the forces that would seal their fate were set in motion millions of years earlier. The story starts about 320 million years ago with the deposition of the Palo limestone, a sedimentary rock formed in a shallow sea. Above that, a layer of red shale, known as the Spearfish Formation, was deposited. Ongoing accumulation of sedimentary rocks occurred through the Mesozoic era, including the deposition of darker shales and mudstones associated with shallow seas of the late Cretaceous period. About 65 million years ago, a dramatic event known as the Laramide eruption took place that would forever alter these rock layers. Tectonic plates that made up the surface of the Earth near what was then the western coast of the North American continent collided violently over millions of years. This collision caused the horizontal rock layers to buckle upward, forming the Rocky Mountains and the Black Hills of South Dakota. As the rock layers of the Black Hills bowed upward, weathering and erosion slowly stripped them away. The ancient granite core of the Black Hills was exposed, surrounded by rings of younger rocks. The ring made up of the Spearfish Formation is known as the Red Racetrack and can be seen around hot springs today. The geological process that started the uplift of the Rocky Mountains millions of years ago continued into the Pleistocene, fracturing the shale and limestone layers beneath the Black Hills. Over time, underground water dissolved portions of the limestone, forming cavities and caverns in the southern hills, near what one day would be hot springs. Around 26,000 years ago, the weight of rock above eventually caused the cave to collapse, creating a steep-sided geological feature called a sinkhole. Subsurface water flowing under and through the cave was rerouted after the collapse and came up into the sinkhole, partially filling it and creating a pond. The sides of the sinkhole were covered by shale, which is very slippery when wet. A trap was set. The water in the sinkhole was warm, so grass and other forage grew around the edge of the pond year-round. Young male mammoths seeking an easy lunch and an attractive bathing pool entered the sinkhole and couldn't climb back out. Scientists believe the mammoths and other animals were actively being trapped here over a period of 300 to 700 years, creating a rich deposit of fossils. Layer after layer of sediment and bones were deposited, while minerals dissolved from the limestone began to cement it all together inside the sinkhole. Eventually, the sinkhole was completely filled in, providing a unique environment for preservation. The fossils remained undisturbed. During the time since the sinkhole filled, water waters slowly washed away the softer spearfish shale and soils from around the filled pond, leaving a hill instead of a sinkhole. Evidence from the Mammoth Site shows that many of the animals that lived here during the Ice Age still inhabit the Black Hills today. Rabbits, ground squirrels, prairie dogs, gophers, deer mouse, bushy-tailed wood rats, voles, wolves, coyote, mink, and pronghorn. Others that lived here, such as short-faced bears, shrub ox, llamas, and Columbian and woolly mammoths, are now extinct. The Columbian mammoth and woolly mammoth represent the largest species discovered at the Mammoth Site, with the Columbian mammoth being the more common of the two species. Both Columbian and woolly mammoth share an ancestor with today's elephants. As populations of mammoths made the 3 million year migration from Africa into Europe, Asia, and North America, they gradually changed, becoming the iconic Ice Age animals whose fossils can be seen here today. They eventually became extinct thousands of years after this sinkhole was formed, though the reason why is still hotly debated. In 1974, a contractor named Phil Anderson purchased the surrounding land with plans to create a housing development. The hill was considered an eyesore and was slated to be torn down. When bones, teeth, and tusks were uncovered by a bulldozer, Mr. Anderson immediately recognized their importance and stopped construction. He contacted Dr. Larry Agenbrod at Chadron State College, who began scientific investigations. Dr. Agenbrod, seeing the unique potential of this mammoth deposit, recommended the site be preserved in place. Phil Anderson then sold the land at cost to the newly formed nonprofit, the Mammoth Site of Hot Springs, SD, Inc. The Mammoth Site is a working paleontological site, and the task of excavating, discovering, and preserving this wealth of Ice Age information continues today. As an insult to excavation, digging is undertaken with great care. Tools such as trowels, dental picks, and paintbrushes are favored in order to avoid damage to bones. Many specimens are left exposed in the ground in order to allow visitors and scientists to see exactly where the bones have been uncovered. All specimens of the Mammoth Site are documented using state-of-the-art mapping techniques. This data is used for both managing the collection of fossils and analyzing the spatial relationship of the specimens at the site. The mammoth bones that you will see are only one aspect of this 26,000-year-old story. The very sediments our diggers excavate provide a rich source of information. This comes in the form of the smaller bones of rodents, rabbits, fish, and amphibians, as well as the shells of snails, clams, insects, and crustaceans. These fossils are best recovered through screen washing, a process where sediments from the site are passed through smaller and smaller sieves with water. This process gently separates the smaller rocks and fossils from the sinkhole sediments. With a trained eye and a reasonable amount of time, Mammoth Site scientists, interns, and volunteers are able to collect, record, and analyze these very important microfossils, which provide valuable information about past environmental conditions. The bones at the Mammoth Site are very fragile. They are not petrified or turned to stone like dinosaur bones. Mammoth Site bones have had the original organic molecules leached out by soaking in the warm water and thus are very dry. All of the bones you see in the sinkhole have been treated with preservatives to prevent them from damage and deterioration. We sometimes remove fossils for scientific study or for preservation concerns. When this is done, a plaster field jacket is put around the bone for protection, much in the same way a plaster cast is used to protect a broken arm bone. Once a bone is removed, it takes a short journey downstairs to the laboratory. Here, the bones are gently cleaned, repaired, and treated with preservatives. Most of the work is done by hand. Hard sediment crust is removed from the bone using air tools that slowly chip away sediment like miniature jackhammers. After a bone has been completely prepared, it is moved to our bone storage vault, where be studied by paleontologists from the Mammoth Site and other institutions and universities. All Mammoth Site specimens are stored here on site, but our molding and casting department does make replicas of our bones that we send to scientists and educators all over the world. Due to the quantity, diversity, and quality of the fossils preserved here, the Mammoth Site is without equal in North America. The Mammoth Site is one of the very few displays of fossil mammoths in North America, where their remains have been left in place, and it is clearly the largest. Containing remains of more than 60 mammoths, the site is a treasure chest for all who come from around the world to participate in research and learning. For those of you who would like to learn more about our work here, the Mammoth Site offers a wide variety of educational programs, including our Mammoth Site Excavation and Preservation program. Ask any employee for more specific information. And now, we invite you to experience firsthand the vestiges of the past.
How'd everybody like the video? Nice. I guarantee you like the bone bed even more. So, as we go into the bone bed, I'll remind you that you can take as many photos as you would like while we are on the tour. After the tour is over, we invite you to please walk around the bone bed as much as you enjoy. Take more detailed photos and just look at exhibits in more detail if you would like. Any questions? We are going to be heading over to Station 1, just behind me now. We're going to be lining up against the left-hand area. We're going to see the sinkhole. This will be the first station out of 5. Alright, so you folks are now looking at our sinkhole. Now, this sinkhole formed when a limestone layer beneath the red spearfish shale eroded away, forming a large cavern. Now, over time, the roof of this cavern became too large and collapsed in on itself, creating a bowl-like depression in the earth. Now, if you look just below, you will see the spring conduit area. This is where a warm water spring bubbled into the sinkhole with 90 to 95 degree water, filling the sinkhole up almost like a swimming pool. Now, this water, because there was so much of it, it brought very, very lush vegetation. So the animals would be walking by the sinkhole, they would see the vegetation, they would walk in as it was food to them, they would become stuck, die, and are now buried here today. Now, over time, the sinkhole became a very large hill, and starting at our spring conduit area, if you want to follow my laser over to the right, all the way up the rafters, all the way to the top of the rafters. This was the peak height of the hill in 1974 when the land was bought to build houses by Phil Anderson. Now, following the laser back down to the right, you will see a red ball. This is where the first bone fragment was uncovered in 1974 by a bulldozer operator. Now, I will remind you, this was the first one uncovered and found. There are a couple of places around the sinkhole that I will point out that where the bulldozer operators accidentally did hit the bones and they didn't know until a little while later. Now, to the right of that red ball, you will see 2 large wooden statues. The one in front is the Columbian mammoth, and the one following closely behind is the woolly mammoth. Now, these are accurate depictions of the sizes of these mammoths. Modern-day African and Asian elephants would have been able to walk directly under the Columbian mammoth's chin without even touching it. Now, does anybody have any guesses what part of the mammoth inside of the sinkhole we could use to determine how many mammoths we have found so far? That's right, we use their tusks. So far, we have found 122 tusks. So simple division tells us we have found 61 mammoths so far. Now back over to the right wooden statues. 58 of those 61 are Columbian mammoths, and only 3 are woolly. I'm just going to be coming back behind you folks. Now, as we go to this exhibit, anybody have any guesses what part of the mammoth this is? What? This right here, half covered in plaster. Little hint is that it's 2 parts. Somewhat, it is actually the skull and the tusk. Now, it is very difficult to guess because, as you can see, the skull is kind of covered in sediment everywhere. Now, our interns here have spent over 300 hours on this piece alone. And just for an illustration, a size of sediment about, or a piece of sediment about the size of an American silver dollar, which is about the size of a quarter, would take about 3 weeks to get rid of on the bone. So, one little thing they like to say is that paleontology is a patience game. You just have to go very slow. Now, under this skull, we actually found, whenever we excavated it from Station 4, I will show you folks where we excavated it from, but underneath the skull, we actually found a giant short-faced bear canine tooth. So if you look just behind me, I have a giant short-faced bear, and this would be the canine tooth, right there. That was found underneath the skull. And the canine tooth of that giant short-faced bear would be about the size, a little smaller than my fist.
Does that mean he was eating it?
It is possible. We do believe the Columbian mammoth was prey for the giant short-faced bear, so they may have fallen onto each other as they died inside of the
So the
sinkhole.
bear was larger than this?
The bear was not larger in size, but it was about as tall as the Columbian mammoth. It could reach the very top of that Columbian mammoth, about 2 stories high. Any more questions? All right.
That's hard to believe. A bear that's as big as 2 stories.
Over
As big as that
It
man.
could reach 2 stories, yeah. It would have been about right where the mammoth's tongue is. It stood up where its head would have been.
Wow.
Its arms would have been able to reach the very top of that mammoth's trunk. Now, just behind you folks, you will see on these pamphlets on these walls, there are a lot of words written here. Again, you can read this after we're done in the bone bed, but just real quick summary of it. We have our 4 extinction theories here: over-ill, over-chill, overkill, and overspill. Now, starting over on the left on overspill, extinction by an extraterrestrial impact event. Some kind of asteroid or a meteor hit the Earth and made the mammoths go extinct, almost like it did the dinosaurs. We have overkill, where chest-thumping man is the culprit, where man and woman drove the mammoths to extinction. Because most people don't know, but mammoths were actually around when King Tut was building his pyramids. Over to the right of overkill, we have overchill, extinction by some kind of ice age era. They just froze to death. Over to the right of overchill, we have over-ill, the highly contagious fatal disease theory. That is a theory that some kind of disease came in and wept out the mammoth species. That is actually the most improbable, because it probably would have wept out other species as well. But our most probable is probably overkill. Any questions? Okay, moving on to station 2. Okay, starting out in front of us, can everybody see this green laser? Going over to the right of that green laser, we have an orange number 2. Now, just up and to the left of that orange number 2, does anybody have any guesses what part of the mammoth this is? That's right, it is the pelvis, or the hip bone. Now, the female mammoth's pelvis would have been larger in diameter in this center part right here, as it was used as a birthing canal. But the actual bones themselves on a female mammoth would have been actually more narrow and smaller than the male's. This one is a male pelvis. We do use the pelvis of the mammoth to determine the gender of the mammoth at this point. That is the only way we can determine that. Now, out of the 61 mammoths we have here, does anybody have any guesses how many male and how many female?
Probably more male than female, because the show said something about the males would come and
That
eat
is
the
right.
grasses.
Actually, all 61 mammoths we have here are male. No female. Now, well, women like to say that the men were probably too stubborn to ask for directions, and men like to say that the women probably just pushed them in.
Women don't usually say, hold my beer.
Yeah. Now, through study of modern day elephants, When an elephant or a mammoth reached the ages between 12 and 29, they became very immature and irritable and took up a lot of food and space. So the females of the herd would actually kick them out. They would be, again, alone, very immature. They would see the sinkhole and they would walk in to get the food and then become trapped. Over to, oh, sorry.
What age did you say?
12 to 29, usually between those ages.
Years or months?
Years.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, like men nowadays. Now, starting at the orange number 2, heading to the right, you will see the roof of a Columbian mammoth mouth. We have 2 nice tennis shoe shapes, right where my laser pointer is. You may not be able to see it, but I will point out further illustrations of the teeth as we walk on, so just don't worry about that. The teeth, through study of modern-day elephants, we determined that mammoths were actually herbivores, meaning they only ate grass, and they had 6 sets of teeth in their lifetime. Now, just above the teeth, we actually have 2 holes that look almost like nostrils. These are actually the tusk sockets. These are where the tusks would have come out of the face of the mammoth. And most people don't know, but the tusks are actually the teeth of the mammoth, a set of teeth. Starting where I was just pointing, over to the left, we see a red number 4. Just above that, we have an upside-down Columbian mammoth skull. We have its eye socket right where my laser is pointed. And just above that, we have one of its top molars. Now, if you look really closely, on a tooth, you can see little white ridges running through the tooth. That is unerupted enamel. That is the new enamel coming in and replacing the old enamel. The old enamel will slide to the front of the tooth and then fall off and then either be spit out or swallowed by the mammoth. So their teeth grew in a kind of conveyor belt sort of formation. So for instance, us today, our humans, our teeth grow from underneath our old teeth. We have 2 sets of teeth, baby teeth, adult teeth. Our adult teeth grow from underneath our baby teeth and push our baby teeth out. Now, the mammoth's teeth grew from the back of their gums and pushed all their teeth out the front. So imagine that all of our teeth, individual teeth, were all just one tooth, and new teeth came in and just pushed the old ones out the front. That's how the mammoths grew their teeth, in kind of a conveyor belt sort of formation. On the left of the red number 4, you will see another upside-down skull. This is actually a woolly mammoth skull. We know that because its teeth are more oval and less rigid in shape. And that is actually the only way to determine between a Columbian and woolly mammoth. Now, just behind this woolly mammoth skull, we have 2 blue arrows. And if you look at the sediment lines, we see little distortions in the lines as we come through here. Now, these are mammoth footprints. As the sinkhole aged, it became less water and more mud and clay. So the mammoths would be walking on this mud and clay, their feet would sink in, and just like us nowadays, if you put your foot in a mud hole and try and pull it out, you create suction on your foot. So these mammoths were trying to pull their feet out, and they were creating the suction and the distortions in these sediment lines. We are looking at these footprints from a side view or a cross view. So anytime you see a green or blue arrow, that is another set of footprints, but none of them are quite as clear as the 2 we have just in front of us here. Are there any questions? All right, moving on to station 3, just behind me. Okay, this is station 3. Now, as you probably have noticed, around the sinkhole, you have seen a reddish colored dirt. This is red spearfish shale. It is red like that because of the iron minerals inside of the dirt. Now, the entire sinkhole is inside of the Mammoth Site. It does not go any further. So anytime you see this red spearfish shale, this is the outer edge of the sinkhole. Now, as you look around the sinkhole, you will see other colors of dirt. This is just called fill sediment. This is mud and dirt that has washed into the sinkhole over the years as the sinkhole aged. Now, just to the left, starting at the wall, you will see an orange number 7. Just below that are just some of the tools we use here to excavate. Very, very simple tools, no power tools as the bones are just too fragile. Stuff like toothbrushes, paintbrushes, spoons, chisels, stuff you could find in your shed or maybe your medicine cabinet. Now, we do have an excavation program going on here. We offer internships and volunteers. So if you are 18 years or older and there's no prior experience required, you can be a volunteer here and help us out with paleontological sites like this. We usually dig about 8 weeks out of the year because we do control the heat inside of the Mammoth Site, or inside of the sinkhole. So we have to wait till it is naturally warm inside of the sinkhole to work, because heating and cooling the bones over and over again can actually ruin the bones. So we have to wait till it is naturally warm in here, and that's about 8 weeks out of the year. We actually, every now and then, we have a lady over here, her name is Biz. She usually works on some of our tusks, right where this towel is laying. But she is actually on she actually went home for the day, but she is usually working right here. If you look just in front of you folks, you guys are actually very, very lucky. Here, I'll walk this way so you folks can see a little better. These tusks I have just in front of me, there, right there, right there, and right there, I actually had plaster over them for about 2 years. So they actually just got the plaster jackets removed from them about 5 days ago. So you guys are one of the lucky, almost 2% of the people that have ever come to the Mammoth Site to see these tusks.
Wow.
It's kind of funny because I usually talk about the plaster jackets that are over them, but one time I was up at Station 4 and I was looking around, I didn't even realize they took them off, and I just saw the tusks right there, and I was just speechless for like a minute. I just didn't understand that they were not there anymore, but it's because I'd never seen those before, and you guys are pretty lucky here. Are there any questions?
On those teeth,
Right here.
that's the new ivory coming in on the tooth, the new enamel.
No, this is just the actual tooth right here.
Yeah,
The
but
new
on the-
enamel will be right
On the upper one, that
Here?
white area, right where the laser was,
right here.
yeah.
Normal tooth.
That's
The
just-
actual unerupted enamel is very rare to see unless the mammoth is actually decaying. Right
Okay.
here, this one is not actually decaying. It is actually very well kept. So around the sides, you would be seeing unerupted enamel right around here if this bone was not
Oh,
here still.
okay, from that direction.
This is actually the lower mandible of the mammoth. It's the lower jaw. Any more questions?
So you're saying that only the lower mandible has this unerupted enamel under it?
Oh, no.
No, the lower and the upper mandible, lower and upper jaw, do have the unerupted enamel coming in and replacing the old ones. This one right here, we are just looking at the lower jaw.
Oh,
Right
okay.
there. So we have the 2 sets of teeth, and because there's not much decay in around the teeth, we do not see the unerupted enamel, but if there was, we would be seeing the unerupted enamel right about now. Any more questions? All right, moving on. Now, as we walk up, we're going to be making a 360 kind of loop back up behind you folks on that railing above you. And as you walk through, you can see silhouettes on my left side and a large mural. I will be talking about those when I get to Station 4. Don't worry about that. I'm not skimming out on you guys. Starting over on the top left, you will see these silhouettes that we passed. These are the other animals found inside the sinkhole. Stuff like the camelots. The camelots actually originated here in North America, went extinct here, and was brought back in the 1800s for use in the cavalry. Most people think it originated somewhere like Egypt. It actually originated here in North America. To the left of the camelots, we have the giant short-faced bear silhouette. This one is a little smaller than a fully grown giant short-faced bear. That is because it is an adolescent, it's just a child. It is modeled after the actual skull we found here in the sinkhole. Now, fully grown, a giant short-faced bear on all fours would have been able to look a 5'10" man in the eye. So, that's pretty high. To the right of the giant short-faced bear, we have the large-headed fauna. Again, originating here in North America, going extinct here, and being brought back to Egypt around the same time the camel was. To the right of the large-headed fauna, we have a very large mural. The very top black silhouette is the Columbian mammoth. One just below that is the African elephant, the woolly mammoth, the Asian elephant, and the pygmy mammoth. Now we are going to be installing here soon a new silhouette on this wall so that there will be 4 out of these 6 silhouettes are extinct. The 4 are the Columbian mammoth, the woolly mammoth, the pygmy mammoth, and the new silhouette we are going to be adding here soon is the shrub ox. Now, the Asian elephant and the African elephant are still alive. But, just a fun little fact about the giant short-faced bear. Fully grown giant short-faced bear on its 2 hind legs would have been able to reach the top of this Columbian mammoth. Again, 2 stories high, 15 feet. So if anybody here has a 2-story house, could have reached right inside the window. Not a problem. So we do believe the Columbian mammoth was prey for the giant short-faced bear. Now going from the right of the large mural, you will see a green number 10. Just behind that, we have a tusk. Now the side of the tusk facing me is kind of sliced off and flat. That is because in 1974, a bulldozer operator accidentally hit it, and we didn't know until about 9 years later. But it's kind of a reality check for us here at the Mammoth Site. If they hadn't stopped construction, all of this would be destroyed, and we'd be standing on houses right now. But it makes you think how many houses have been built over places that are bigger than this, or how many times someone has seen that it might be an important archeological site and just went over it, decided they put too much money in already. So we are very, very grateful for Bill Anderson for him deciding that he needs to get paleontologists in here. We got very lucky with him. Over to the left is the green number 10. You see a white number 11. Down below that is our second most complete skeleton here to date. Starting towards the top, we have the shoulder blade, that triangle bone. The bumpy bone going down is the spine. Things coming out the side look like steps are the ribs. We have the right and left side of its pelvis, left and right femur, fibula and tibia and an ankle bone, another fibula and tibia, and a tailbone. Now, does anybody have any guesses what this skeleton is missing?
The skull.
That's right, it is missing its skull. Now, during the early excavation, when they dug it up, they realized it did not have a skull, and they named it Marie Antoinette for the French queen that was infamously beheaded. Now, through study of the pelvis, determining it was a male, they renamed it Marie Antoinette. So, this is Murray. Now, going left of Murray, you'll see in orange number 12. Just below that is a giant short-faced bear skull replica. It is the only replica in the sinkhole, but the actual skull was found right where that is placed. Just to the right of the skull is another, on the same green piece of paper, is actually a canine tooth. And this canine tooth was found all the way up on this mound underneath the skull that I pointed out earlier. That is actually where the skull was excavated from.
Can you determine if anywhere in this dig site have you gotten to the bottom of the sinkhole?
We have not gotten to the bottom of the sinkhole yet. We actually did do a core sample in 1974. They went 67 feet down from where you folks are standing now, and they were still finding bone. Now, from where you folks are standing to the deepest end of the sinkhole that we've dug so far is 22 feet. So we still have 40 to 45 feet left to go, going all the way down. And it could go hundreds and hundreds of feet past that. We just don't know.
Wait, you're saying the core sample went down how far?
67 feet.
And it could still, the sinkhole could still be deeper than that.
It could be hundreds and hundreds.
Wow. That's a lot of,
Yeah.
that's a lot of, I mean,
That'll take us a long time.
yeah.
Now, this is station 5. So, if you look just below you folks, you'll see a blue number 13. If you can't, that is okay. That's not really what we're looking at. It's just above that is our most complete skeleton here to date. It is the most complete because, unlike Marie Antoinette, it has its head. It is also pretty scientifically important in 2 other ways. It actually has its hyoid bone as well, which is the tongue bone, which is very rare to find in a 26,000-year-old skeleton. Also, it is actually the oldest skeleton to date inside of the sinkhole whenever it died. It was 47 years old. Now, pretty ironically, just behind this guy, you will see another skeleton. This is actually the youngest mammoth to date when it died. It was 12 years old. Now just above our oldest, you will see a red 14. Above that, we have Beauty. This, for obvious reasons, it is called that. It's actually my favorite specimen here. It does not have many imperfections except one. Its left-hand tusk is chipped off. That was either during excavation or maybe as before the mammoth died, it might have snapped off, as they usually use their tusk for fighting. Now just above the Beauty, you will see a green number 15. Above that is another skull, very lovely specimen. It does have a couple more cracks in its forehead around this region. And as you may notice, some of the bones we have here are brownish. They look almost dirty. That is because of an old preservative we used to use called glyptol. Now glyptol, turns out, wasn't very good for the bones, and it gave it that nasty brown color. So we switched over to paraloid B72. And paraloid B72 gives these bones this nice natural color, as if the preservative wasn't even on it. And the preservative actually soaks into the bones as well, so it protects it further. Now just below you folks, you'll see in orange number 17. This is one of the 3 core samples I was talking about. So they did go 67 feet from that overlook down, and they were still finding bone. And from that overlook down to that orange number 17 is the deepest part of the sinkhole so far that we've dug to, and it's 22 feet. So it could go 40 to 45 feet more with bones all the way down. And it could go hundreds and hundreds of feet past that. Are there any questions? This is our last station.
Once you work into the core sample out about ruining what was below it, since you're so careful with every little bit?
We were very worried. We actually, if you look, you will see the hole is just feet away from our most complete skeleton, so we actually got very lucky then. But back then, they didn't actually know what we had found here. They blindly sent the core sample through, and they didn't know what we'd find. And they realized that we had this, and they got very lucky not hitting anything. Now, the Mammoth Site is a non-profit public organization, so anybody can join. We have people joining all over the world. After you folks are done here, you can walk into the exhibit hall. In the exhibit hall, we have some Siberian Ice Age era exhibits. One of my favorite places to go. I always take dibs on cleaning in there because I can hang out in there. Now, if you go left inside the exhibit hall, you will see an elevator which leads down to the preparation lab. Now, the preparation lab, you may get to see some interns working on some bones. You may not. It depends on if they are working down there. But if they are, there are 4 windows. They are voice activated, so ask as many questions as you'd like. They will answer them for you. There's also about a 4-minute video down there. As you go into the exhibit hall, if you turn right, you will see our exit door. To the left of that is what we call Mammoth Moment Sheets. If there's anything you liked or disliked about my tour or any part of the Mammoth Site today, please comment. All of your feedback is very much appreciated, especially for me, because this is my first month working here, and I'm trying to learn and improve as much as I can. Are there any more questions I can help you guys out with? All right. My name is Riley, and I've been your tour guide for today.